Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Emotionally Intelligent Parenting Podcast. Today I want to talk about anger, but not just like what is anger and how do we control our anger? No. We are going much deeper than that because I find with the parents that I work with, me, myself, like us as a family, if I am just doing these surface level like strategies of trying to keep calm and tell myself that my kids are they're not giving me a hard time, they're having one. I didn't even get that right. If I'm just doing that stuff, trying to like cognitively in my brain think, just don't lose it today, be calmer, be more of a present parent, like that stuff doesn't work. We know it doesn't get deep enough to what some of these like roots beneath our conscious awareness. It doesn't get to those roots where they're sitting, right? I'm not going to be talking today about things like our childhood and our beliefs and things like that. I'm purely coming from a science perspective because when we understand a bit about our body, the nervous system and the brain, when we know that stuff, we are in an extraordinarily better position to know what is really happening when we start to get frustrated or irritable or right through to like mad angry and erupting. We start to really understand what's going on and then put in place some coping strategies, some ways in which we can actually bring ourselves back to this kind of balanced, regulated state. And also how to actually do that like day to day, as in, I often talk about like creating a culture in our family. We have a culture about what we do and how we are and what we say and what we talk about and how we treat each other. You have, oh my God, you almost have like a culture for yourself, your own body, the way you think, the way you act, the way you behave. Like you could call it a personality, but do you know what I mean? It's like, it's a little bit deeper than just some of these surface level things that a lot of parent coaches or experts or psychologists talk about. I actually want to go to the nervous system today. So I want to talk about, I'm going to share with you guys actually a story. This is probably when our kids I know our kids were much younger, probably when our youngest was maybe 3 or so. I'm going to take a stab and say that was how old she was. And I don't even know what she was not listening to me about. I don't even know what I wanted her to do and she wasn't doing it. But basically, she wasn't listening. She wasn't doing something I wanted. And I got so frustrated because I must have asked her like several times. And then I said, right, that's it. Go to your room. Like I've been pretty open. I'm pretty vulnerable with you guys that, you know, before we learned emotional intelligence, we were those like parents who lost it and who snapped and who yelled at our kids and who smacked our kids, like all that stuff that now I'm like, we are worlds away from that. We still are human, but we are so much more calmer and in control and we work together as a team and we're much more patient. So, but back then when I didn't know this stuff and I was probably just starting to get into it, I had this moment where I was like, you're not listening, go to your room, that's it. Obviously lost it. And for some reason in my brain, I was like, she's not walking fast enough to her room because I was like, go to your room. And then she started walking to her room. Yeah, she must have been like 3. And I was so furious and wanted her to just, like, I needed that control. And I was out of control. Like, how funny that I wanted that control and yet I was so out of control. That's how it goes. And so I shoved her like in the back. Like I was like, hurry up. I tried to like get her to go faster on the shoulders or the back. And I was like, hurry up, kind of pushed her a bit. And because she was so tiny and because I was so like mad and overwhelmed and full of rage, she stumbled a bit and almost fell over. And for some reason, that was the circuit breaker. That was the thing that just made me go, oh my God, what did I just do? And I felt horrible. I had the mum guilt, like, you know, 99% of you guys listening will know exactly what I'm talking about when you just have that like wash of like, oh my God, who am I? You know, I never want to be this kind of parent. So if you're here and you're listening and maybe you've stumbled across this episode, maybe you're binge listening, I don't know. Either way, I'm sure that you are a parent who has at some point thought, I don't want to yell, I don't want to lose it, but it just happens. So here in this episode, I am not fixing, I am not curing, I'm not talking about any of that stuff. I'm not fixing, curing our anger. I'm not shaming our anger, but I want to help you understand it from your nervous system's point of view. So we're not here to be like, how do we not get angry? How do we stay calm all the time? No, that's like way old, outdated ideas now. We know that being emotionally intelligent is not about being a cool, calm, collected robot all the time. If you are just listening to this podcast for the first time, or if you're watching on YouTube and you've just stumbled and clicked on this video, hello, and I'm so glad. Thank you for being here. Please listen right through to the end, because I'm going to make some really practical suggestions, or like I'm going to make some invitations to you to actually start to, make some changes with your own emotional intelligence and your own ability to manage the anger and those emotions that come up when you feel out of control. So before we begin, I want to acknowledge the Darug Nation. They're the traditional custodians of the land on which I live and work and record these videos. I pay my respects to First Nations people, their elders and their ancestors, and I acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded, and I stand in solidarity towards a shared future. Also, again, if you're just new here, a little tiny bit about me is I'm Stephanie Pinto, obviously the host of this emotionally intelligent parenting podcast. Also, I'm a best-selling author, an international speaker, and an award-winning podcaster and coach, which is wild. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see behind me there's some awards there, which is incredible. And it just says to me that this mission that I'm on and the stuff that I'm talking about for parents, for educators, for therapists, for professionals, emotional intelligence, and teaching this to our kids, but also embodying it with ourselves first. This is something that people want to hear about. They want to learn about. They are valuing it. You guys are listening for a reason. You've tuned in for a reason. And I genuinely believe that, like, my vision is a world where kids thrive in emotionally intelligent homes and classrooms, inspired by empowered parents and educators who are equipped with emotional intelligence themselves. I know that sounds really fancy, but that's like my big mission in life. So thank you for being here and sharing it with me. So I want to actually do a quick shout out to Justin Sunseri. If you don't know him, he is the podcast host of Stuck Not Broken, and he talks about us not being broken, but being in a defensive state. A state of our nervous system. So I'm going to talk about that a lot more, you guys. If the nervous system and some of this stuff is new to you, don't worry. I will guide you through it. A bit of a surface level kind of look at the nervous system, but a deeper look at anger. And I think I'm going to record some more episodes and some more videos on the polyvagal theory, how I apply it in emotional intelligence and to us managing our own emotions and our kids. Also, I hope to actually have him on one day. We're going to reach out to him and his team and see whether he can come on. That would be awesome. Okay, let's start talking a little bit about what actually is anger. Okay, here are a few ways to think about anger. Number one, you can think, okay, it's a strong feeling of displeasure with an urge to fight back. Now keep that part in mind, the urge to fight back. We can also understand anger as like a really strong sense. It's like a sense. It's a strong sense of either annoyance or displeasure, or right through to like hostility. You know, there's like different shades, there's kind of different tiers or levels of anger, right? We get that. I love this one though. And I invite you to think of anger like this. It's a protective shield. It's a way to feel powerful when feeling vulnerable or out of control. I promise you, like, have a think about with your partner or with your kids or with someone at work who makes you really pissed off or angry sometimes about the way they behave or the way they speak. Think about your anger as this is something that is actually protecting me like a shield, because when I feel like that person is rude, disrespectful, or being dangerous or inappropriate, whatever that is, anger can be like this powerful way to feel more in control when we have that sense of like, I'm feeling really vulnerable. I'm not feeling in control here. So I love that. And that actually speaks to the nervous system, which we're going to talk about in a second. The last way that you can think about anger, and maybe you can put all these together or think about which one really resonates with you. Anger is a sympathetic nervous system activation. We're talking about the autonomic nervous system. We have different nervous systems. Just think of the fight or flight response, right? We get activated, we get mobilized because we sense a threat or a danger. Now, this doesn't have to be like a physical threat or danger, like a car is coming towards you at 50 k's an hour and you're like, ah, or, as back in caveman times, the saber-toothed tiger. It can be a physical threat or a danger like that, but it can be an emotional or a mental threat or a social threat, okay? So from polyvagal theory, which don't worry if you have no idea what that is, I'll just explain briefly. We can be in one of three or even a mixed state, one of three different nervous system states in terms of the way that we are feeling and the way that we are behaving. Think of it in three kind of roughly different maybe boxes or zones. We can be in a safe, connected, regulated state. So that might be now if you're walking or if you're cooking or commuting or whatever you're doing listening to this. Chances are you're in this safe, social, connected state. So you feel good, right? You're calm. The second one, though, is what we often term as fight or flight. So we get mobilized, like our body literally, we have a whole physiological reaction that happens. We can become angry, we can become anxious, we can be irritated. Basically, our nervous system and our body mobilizes for us to fight that threat, the perceived threat. So this is why we often call it fight or flight. And again, this could be verbally or physically fighting or fleeing and running away. The third one is this shut down, collapsed or disconnected state. So this could be when you don't want to get up, you're on the couch or you're in bed, or I've had parents say my kid was curled up in a ball on the rug, crying or just non-responsive and I can't get through to him. That's this shut down, collapsed state. Quick segue. I have talked a little bit about my anxiety and that I used to faint regularly as a child, a teenager, and an adult. And that was me going into this, it's almost like a mixed state, but I see it more as that shut down, collapsed, disconnected, basically dissociated, like physically, but also emotionally. My nervous system took me out of the quote unquote scary, dangerous situation. Anger is not a problem. It's a sign that you're in a fight state. Your body thinks it needs to protect you. I really want you to think about that because our body and our nervous system is always like running under the surface. It's checking, are we safe or are we in danger? It runs underneath our conscious awareness. So I'm going to repeat that because I think that is so, so powerful and a really great way to think of your anger, especially if you regularly go into that state, the fight or flight, the angry state, and snap at your kids. Zero judgment here, guys. We have all friggin' done it. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you are. I don't care how old your kids are, or even if you don't have kids, you've all been angry. And you've all done and said things that you're like, oh my God, why would I do that? Like to the people I love, usually. So anger is not a problem. It's a sign that you're in a fight state. Your body thinks it needs to protect you. That's what it's doing. So it's not bad. It is adaptive, as in our body and our brain and our nervous system adapts to threats. It adapts to our environment and situations that we're in and people that we're around. So it's adapting like on the fly all the time. Imagine you're at work and you're around people that you love and you get along with them really well and you're doing your work. And then your boss, who's an absolute a-hole, walks in and comes right over to your desk or wherever you are. Your nervous system will go into a low level or maybe high level fight or flight state in a defensive state. So it's like, what's going to happen? Oh my God, what's he going to say? Oh, am I doing like quick close Facebook? Like, that happens. Your body and your nervous system is protecting you. So what happens is it shows your system that it thinks there's a threat. Remember, I said it doesn't have to be a physical threat. It can be emotional, social. So just quickly, there's a concept of neuroception. Neuroception is the idea that we're not necessarily perceiving things from our environment around us. It's that our nervous system has this unconscious, automatic detection system. That's the best way that I kind of can put it on the fly. It's an automatic subconscious way that your body is detecting cues of safety or danger. I would love you guys to now, like unless you're driving or something, have a think about a recent moment or maybe a big moment where you were super mad, flipping your lid, like an angry moment, okay? What did it feel like in your body? Did you feel heat or tension in your chest? Did you feel like the urge to move, right? That's the flight kind of defensive state. Did you have, sometimes I get like, when I'm really mad, I can feel my jaw actually almost get sore because I'm clenching my teeth and I can feel these muscles that are filled with tension and like clamping together. Sometimes I even notice it when I'm doing the dishes at the end of a day and I'm like, I want the kitchen clean, then I can finally tuck the kids in and relax. And I'm like, oh my God, Steph, relax your jaw. Maybe in your fists, maybe in your chest, where is that? This is the stuff that people do not talk about enough when we talk about overcoming the constant cycle of snapping at our kids and getting really mad at their behavior because they're not listening or they have done something we've asked them not to. This is the stuff you actually need to be doing. This is the stuff I coach parents with one-on-one or in a small group or in a program. Like, this is the stuff. Come to me, please. If you're like, but how do I do this? And I've never done this before, or it sounds weird, but I am still snapping at my kids or my husband. I'm like, here we go. Here's your invitation. This is the stuff we need to look at. So these are not, I don't want you guys to think of these as like bad signs. Like, I'm getting really mad. Oh no. How do I overcome it and fix it? These are survival signs from your nervous system. Fight is your body trying to regain control. I'm going to say that again because that is so profound. Fight is your body trying to regain control. Huge. You cannot always, I wonder if you guys agree with this. I'm going to say it, but I think it's 100% true. You can't always logic your way out of a fight state. You have to regulate your way out. You cannot logic your way out. You can't be like, you know what? Like I said right at the start, my kids are not having, I keep getting it wrong. There's obviously something wrong with it. My kids are not giving me a hard time. I'm going to try that for a third time. Take a deep breath. Your kids are not giving you a hard time. They are having one. When I tell myself things like that, I'm like, I get that consciously. Like, it makes sense. But man, I could talk about that for days, and I could talk about that with parents that I coach, and like, they're still going to leave the Zoom call. And then all these things will happen, and then the anger rises up, and they're like, kapul. So you cannot always logic or think your way out of a fight state when you're feeling really dysregulated and really either anxious or upset or disappointed or angry. You have to regulate your way out. People are like, how do I regulate well, this is how. So we know that when our nervous system is triggered, what we need to do is almost, yes, regulate our way out of it, but we need to understand that our body naturally comes back to a regulated state. It's homeostasis. It means when we're out of balance or out of kilter or we're dysregulated, our body naturally, because it's in its best interests to survive, right? And literally grow old and pass on our species and things like that. Like, our body wants to come back to a regulated state. And I have done it. Oh my God, guys, I've done it when I've gone to speak on stage. There was a moment, when was it? In Canberra. So that was only this year. So I'm in Sydney. I flew down to I didn't fly down. We drove down to Canberra to speak at an ADHD conference. And I've done this so many times before. It was not even a bigger group. I've spoken in front of like over 1,000, people before. This one was a smaller group, and yet probably 400 people, right? And yet I had that moment where I was like, I need to go out into the foyer and just calm myself down and try some of these regulation tools, because I feel this swirling happening, which is what I feel when I start to faint. I knew that trying to think my way out, like I've done this so many times before. Everyone always loves what I talk about. They go, oh my God, I want to learn more about emotional intelligence. They come and they love it. They come and talk to me afterwards. Like, I often have a line of people at my little table where I sell my books, and I would get off stage and people would be lining up because they want to get the last few books. I usually only take about 50 books or so. That's all I can carry. And people are like, oh, I want to get the book. So I'm like, I know that they love the stuff that I talk about. They want to buy the book that I have. They want to like get the resources and keep learning and things like that. And yet my nervous system was like, but they're going to hate it. But you're going to stuff your words, but you're going to forget everything. It's not going to be okay. Basically, danger, danger, danger. So we need to regulate our way out gently, very gradually. That's the word I was looking for. And very compassionately. Because if I was trying to push my way out of that anxiety, I would just spiraled and like fainted. And they would have been like, where's the next speaker? Oh, she's on the floor out the back. So some tools are extended exhale breathing. I don't get caught up in the like box breathing or the breathe in for 2, out for 4. Sometimes I think that is almost distracting ourselves from actually just mindfully being in the moment and going, whoa, I'm really overwhelmed. Let me focus on what my body needs now. Let me just say, regulation does not equal relaxation. It's about bringing your nervous system back to connecting with yourself, with your body, with how you are feeling, with what is going on for you internally, and yet orienting yourself to am I actually in a safe place? What do I see? What do I hear? What do I smell? What can I feel? I'm talking about grounding there. Humming stimulates the vagus nerve. So we can, and that has a huge role in obviously our fight or flight, our nervous system response. So humming can actually be a really regulating, calming strategy. Orienting is something that, we can do, like you guys can do these things without any physical tools. You don't have to print anything out. You don't have to go and get anything. I talk about EFT tapping as well. This is just using your hands and your fingers. Really, really simple things. I have a course on that, by the way, EFT tapping. So if you want to go deeper and you want to learn about it, then that is a brilliant way, because it's obviously tailored towards parents and educators, but how to do this for yourself so that you're regularly able to access a calm, connected safety state, so that you don't just easily and quickly flip into that fight or flight. Sometimes shaking, doing a little shake. I know that sounds really weird, but just stick with me. Shaking your arms or your legs out. This can complete the fight or flight cycle. So I won't go into the deep science of it, but you may, I don't know if you've ever watched some of those documentaries where it's on the savannah and there's a deer or a gazelle that's being chased by a lion, I'm just going to say, or a tiger. And what can happen so the animal being chased by the predator will obviously go into fight or flight. They're trying to run away. What happens is, after that phase, either they've been pinned to the ground or either the lion has been chased away, let's say. If that animal doesn't die, basically, it will get up, and you will often see it. Please Google this. You will often see it doing a shake. It shakes its body and it shakes its arms and legs. I had to learn, I came to the realization I had to learn that when I get anxious, and I used to think, I feel really buzzy and jittery, and my body's it's almost like I'm chattering because I'm really cold. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. You're like, I realized that was the adrenaline coursing through my body because I was in this fight or flight state, super dysregulated, really anxious, literally in a defensive state. My body was like, there's a threat, there's a danger, I'm not going to survive this. And so if I didn't take steps, and I had no strategies, because I didn't, from when I was a kid to literally my early 30s, didn't have any strategies. So my body was like, okay, I'm going to take you out of the situation. You're welcome. It's too scary. And gone. And I would be out cold on the floor. Another really helpful thing can be to splash a little bit of cold water on your hands and on your face. I'm not talking about getting a whole gush and wetting yourself, but or an ice cube. This can reset our vagal tone. So it can kind of reset our nervous system. Just think of it like that. So there's lots of different regulation tools. Please don't think that you're going to remember all of them and then whip one out when you're really mad and pissed off and dysregulated. You're not going to do it. You have to practice these things. Literally, I think I talked about having a culture with yourself of, this is what I do, this is how I deal with things, and this is what works. And I just come back to, this is how I do things. This is me. Make it part of your culture. Make it part of your routines or your rituals. We can choose to get in the habit of prioritizing the things that we can do to regulate our nervous system, to help bring it back to this balanced, regulated state when we're feeling out of control or overwhelmed. I often say, no one is going to do this stuff for us. Your kids aren't magically going to be calm and polite and compliant and everything, or your partner or that person at work. You've got to do this stuff for yourself. Again, there are so many resources out there. I have courses on this stuff. I have courses on how to, dial up your emotional intelligence, an introduction to emotionally intelligent parenting, EFT tapping, from reactive to responsive parenting. That's a common one. I've been mentioning that in previous episodes for a month or two now. There is support out there. I encourage you, if you like this stuff and you're curious about it or you want to learn more, please, those things are one of your next steps, right? Or you can jump to one-on-one coaching and we can do some work together. We can do sessions. Okay, so imagine, here we go. Let's go through a few examples. Imagine that we'll go through toddler to teen kind of thing. Imagine you have a toddler and they refuse to get in the car. The state that your nervous system may go into is like a fight response. Your body's like, I need control. He needs to listen. We have to get to school, preschool. What tool would work for you in that situation? Do you have time, or can you make time to pause and to maybe orient yourself to what's happening, or to do some tapping, or to focus on your breath? I know I hate how talking about breathing and focusing on the breath is so like, it's almost overused now. It's a bit of a tokenistic kind of thing. I'm like, no, but this is like, we know that this regulates our heart rate and our respiration, like our breathing and our nervous system very quickly when we actually can put the time, might be 10 seconds, into doing it. Let's say you have a tween and they're talking back and you're in this power struggle maybe. You may go into a nervous system state of sympathetic activation, so some kind of fight or flight. You probably have these stories of like disrespect. That's not okay. I'm not raising a kid who, you've got those kind of flying through your brain. What if you tried the hum? What if you tried humming? Like just a and a long exhale before you respond. You might be like, but my kid is going to be like, what are you doing? Well, answer them. Like I always say, be as open and honest in an age appropriate way with your kids as possible. I'm getting really stressed. I'm going to try and relax my nervous system or rest my body before I respond or before I say something, because I don't want to snap and yell at you. For an older child, maybe an assignment or a homework meltdown, that could be your fight or their shutdown. If they're like, I don't care, I'm not trying it, shut down, door slam. It's really, really powerful to notice what state you are in and then what state your child is in or the other person is in. I think this stuff has actually given me a whole lot more empathy and compassion and patience for when my husband or the kids have been like erupting or melting down or, arguing amongst themselves, maybe the kids. I am a lot more patient. I can tolerate a whole lot more because I get this stuff. I want you to think about, this is almost like a mini masterclass on anger. Anger is not the enemy. It's your nervous system trying to help. I know that might sound wild, but please see it through this lens. You are not weak and you are not broken, and actually you're not even failing. You're responding to a perceived threat. Your nervous system is very good at that. And thank God it is, because if you were about to cross the road and then you saw this car like hurtling towards you, it would make you jump out of the way in a split second to save your life. If you didn't have this fight or flight like this, if you didn't have this nervous system radar and the ability to act within a split second, you wouldn't survive very long. So the goal is not to never be angry. Please, please really get that. I know it's uncomfortable. I know sometimes it makes us do things and say things that we regret, but the goal isn't to never be angry. It's to recognize when you are feeling angry, or recognize when your nervous system is in that fight or flight state, and then to have some tools to help you come back to a regulated nervous system state. So if any of you guys are journalers and you would like to kind of reflect on this a little bit further, even if you just pull your phone out and open the notes app, that's what I would do. Write down or type in, when I feel angry, what am I trying to protect? It's a really good question. You might be like, what? I'm regaining a sense of control because you feel out of control. Maybe it's protecting or pushing away some of those vulnerabilities. Like this, guys, I know this is really deep stuff, but if you actually want to see some change and become, when I say more in control, I don't mean like controlling the situation, but like feeling more capable and in control of yourself. This is where we need to go. And you can do it in a really safe, supportive space with someone like me, because I can guide you. I can give you the tools. We can practice it. We can see what works. Like every nervous system is different. The invitation is there. You guys can check the show notes for this episode. You can have a look at the description. If you're watching on YouTube, please reach out to me. I'm going to mention one of the courses actually that I have at the moment because I'm giving it to you guys at a very, very, very special price. It's called From Reactive to Responsive Parenting, and it's about how we can really start to regain control and overcome some of those fight flight responses. And usually it is $97, and I want to give it to you guys for just $17. You need a code, so please check the show notes or the description to get it, but I would love to offer that to you. It is really quick, really powerful. You can watch it again and again. There's lots of little mini sessions in there, video sessions, and some exercises to do. It's a whole lot, like it's actually really powerful. I think it's one of my favorite courses and probably one of my most popular, to be honest. So please go and check that out. I really encourage you to just, again, take that next step. Like, you have no idea where you could be a month from now or 6 months from now, a year, 5 years. Like, you know, you're never not going to be a parent. Even if your kids, you know, if they turn 18 or they're in their 20s and they move out or move away, you're still a parent to them. And in my mind, I'm like, I want my kids to still come around and be present and be connected and want to hear from us and want to stay in relationship with us. And this is the way, by not flipping our lid when they mess up or make a mistake or do something silly, by saying, oh, even though I'm not happy about that, I love you. Let's work it out. I'm on your team. It can be done. I promise you. Okay. If you found this episode helpful, I'm glad. I'm really excited. This is, I went a little bit deeper than I usually do, and that is totally fine. I want to give you guys a lot of support, but please share it with someone that you know, or please post it on your socials, and you can leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube. And also, if you're listening on a podcast, you can rate the podcast, you can subscribe. That stuff helps, and it would mean the world to me. So thank you very much, and I will see you guys somewhere online. If not, I'll just see you in the next episode. Have a great day.